Coming up next on Get Caught in a Net.
Get caught in a net with a net. For your mind, body, and soul. Get caught in a net with a net. It's your intellectual radio show. Here to inspire you and encourage you to be your very best. Get caught in a net with a net.
You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your hosts, Annette Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need Annette? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Great afternoon. Hey guys, welcome. It is Annette Harris. I am so excited. I'm so excited. We're here for another session on today. I am the host of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. I am your certified mental health ambassador and two-time award-winning author of that bestseller, Surviving a Silenced Heartbeat. Okay, guys, come on in because you know it is the fourth Wednesday. And what do we do on the fourth Wednesday? We talk to Dr. Shirley Hill of Mo Faith Nutritional Services. So before I get started, Lord, we thank you for all things. We thank you for blessing us and helping us and your strength, your wisdom, your direction, all that you are doing, oh God. We appreciate you and we love you for who you are. Get the glory out of everything we go to say and do. In Jesus' name we pray. And the first part of Hosea 4:6 states, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. And yes, I'm going to say it like I always say, if you see my face around 12 noon Central Standard Time on a Wednesday, it's time for you to come on in and get caught in the net. Listen, we are live on Facebook, Annette Get Caught in the Net. We're also live on Instagram, Get Caught in the Net. My YouTube channel, Get Caught in the Net Incorporated. And I'm also live on TikTok, Get Caught in the Net. So you can get caught in the net in various places. So let me bring on Dr. Hill on this afternoon so we can chat and talk with her. Welcoming in this TikTok family over here, guys, as you come on in. I am quite sure that you could go ahead and share. I see you guys joining in, and I appreciate you. Dr. Hill, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling wonderful, getting the hang of this disrupted sleep cycle. Finally trying to get it.
Dr. Hill has a disrupted sleep cycle?
Listen, since the fast, because during the fast, we had all of these different times that we were getting up and, going into service, and it just totally.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
well,
yeah.
I think that's one we need to write down in our books. No, I'm just kidding. You guys that are just joining us for the first time on today, on every fourth Wednesday, we have a sit down with Dr. Shirley Hill. If you can see at the bottom of her name, Mo Faith Nutritional Service is the name of her company and her website. Now, we talked to her because we want to talk about our health and wellness. So we have subject titles that we focus on, but I always encourage you that if you have any questions or comments regarding health and wellness that you want to ask of Dr. Hill, you can do that on today. And what we'll do, we'll try to toggle back and forth and see who's on, if anybody has any questions or anything. But we have as a topic on today, Y'all probably thought this was over with. I think a lot of y'all thought it was over with. Um, Coronavirus 2025. That is our topic title. And, we're going to talk about this because it is still alive, it is still here. I think that we don't need to disregard it. Um, And I think, and I'm gonna let you go into why you want to talk about this, but I think a lot of times is that because we were shut down for so long, because it affected us, I don't think that we, I don't think we want to talk about it anymore or want to acknowledge, what's actually still happening. So we try to make, various excuses or whatever, why this is this way or that is that way. So how do we come up with this topic title on today, or why is it your focus?
Well, it is my focus because there are so many people that are getting what they're calling a cold. And so I'm out at events. I don't have to, but I'm invited to a lot of events. And so I'm normally the only one there with a mask. It's like very, very unusual. But people around me are coughing.
Mm,
You can hear people across the venue. They are coughing. And so every time I go somewhere, this is just a fact. And I said, these people think they have colds, or they suspected that they had the virus, and they went to the emergency room. They took a test, and they told them that they passed the test, that they were not positive, that they were
mhm.
negative. And so they think, they're walking around thinking that they just have a minor cold, when we don't realize. Well, let me say what we are. Let me kind of digress.
Okay.
The government is not talking about coronavirus or the virus, because we've got so many now. We've got the RSV, we have polio, we have
Mhm.
measles, we have um, well, we have 15 strains of the coronavirus, and seven. Um, Now I'll think of that seven is in a moment.
Okay.
And now Wuhan has been on it since the pandemic began.
Mhm.
Uh, they're staying in the laboratory. They're testing. They're sending out information. They're sharing all of this. We're the only ones that's being mute. The United States of America is the only one that's being mute.
Wow.
And that might be because the the person that was in presidency when we lost pretty much like 1 million people is
Mhm.
now in the White House. And so what we it was in the beginning, it was politicized, so until we lost these people, because they didn't know what to do, what not to do, and they finally said, I don't care what you tell me to do, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And so now the numbers are going back up. They're going back up, but we're being misdiagnosed. And we're being misdiagnosed because we're dealing with 15 different strains. And those 15 different strains are not going to show up on a test,
You're right.
because, yeah, because we no longer have COVID-19. That COVID-19 doesn't exist. We now have 15 generations past COVID-19, and they're not showing up on the earlier tests because they're not the strains of the earlier viruses. And so the question is asked, well, Yeah, but they act just like a cold. I know what a cold is. We all know what a cold is. You get a cold and then you get over it.
Mhm, mhm.
But what we don't understand, because we don't understand the nature of the virus, is that one of the spikes on the virus is a cold, which means one of the people that was infected had a cold, and those I want to say genes, the egg and sperm. That's what I'm thinking about. What we gonna say? the
Mm,
gene the gene from the cold and the gene from the virus, they combined. They did what happens when you get an egg and put an egg and a sperm together. And so then that next generation, their one of their spikes, one of their keys to enter into the receptor, the ACE2 receptor of the human cell, is a cold. It is
mm,
a cold virus. So when you are depending upon who infected you, what they were infected with, how much they were infected with, and which spike is the one that entered into the cell. Because see, it doesn't have to be the cold virus, the spike from the cold virus. It can be a spike from one of the others. These variants, they have 30 and 40 different spikes, and all of these spikes can enter into an ACE2 receptor, like a key entering into a lock, and
mhm.
turn that lock and enter into the body and infect you. And we get these symptoms, and and then we go and take a test, which is
Right.
not for that variant, and we think we're good to go. And so we're just passing. We're literally in an epidemic. We're no longer in the pandemic, but we have. I don't believe we've left the epidemic status.
Wow. It's
Mhm.
like that's amazing. And I was going to ask you something because you mentioned about how you said the numbers go up, or I'm
Yeah,
not sure how you phrased it, but we often hear that on the news, like around the fall or holiday season. They'll talk about the numbers are going back up,
hmm
and they're saying that because we're gathering in these spaces, like you mentioned, people don't have masks, have their mask on, and they're spreading stuff. So, and then I also heard too, I was going to add on to that, that they said that it's never going away. I guess I can say it like that,
yeah.
that you'll always
Not,
have it. So,
it's never going to go away, because our conduct is because of our conduct. So
okay.
we can burn out a virus. We can burn it out. If everybody wore their mask, there would be nowhere for the virus to go.
Mm. So we should wear our mask all the time, no matter what.
No, we should wear our mask. And when you go into places and spaces that have other people there, you should wear your mask. When you get on an aeroplane, and don't take it off until because it never fails. When I get on a plane, people get on that airplane, walk past the stewardess, and sit down around you, and they're coughing, and they're serious coughs. They are not little sniffles and little. They are some real serious coughs, and most people that I know that have had this virus several times, or had a family member in this virus, they contracted it on an airplane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, so you should always carry I always have my mask with me.
Yeah,
Uh,
I do too. I
Yeah,
carry them in my bag, in my purse, and
yes,
especially when I go on the plane. We know this already, especially when I'm traveling family.
yeah.
We get on the plane, we get, I mean, now this is, yeah, this is a net. I get on the plane, I'm wiping down. I got my disinfectant wipes.
Listen,
I'm
we
wiping down
strengthen
everything, the seat,
everybody.
the tray table, the head,
Yes,
everything. I'm wiping
yes,
down. And
yes,
if I'm on the plane, with my husband or my other family, I'll do their seats too, because sometimes I'll get
yes,
on before them. But
yes.
anyway, so I we always make sure we have our mask on, and we can always tell the difference. And you are so right. You get yourself settled, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden you hear all this coughing.
Yes, yes. And
I'm like this.
I, I don't know why people come to church and they think that their children can't have COVID. And so I'm the usher, right? Been an usher, been I don't know why they have had me as an usher for 50 years. These kids, these young adults, one of the young adults started laughing one of the other Sundays and said, they started laughing and they said, well, we had you when we were kids and now our kids got you. Here you go again. No.
Just continues.
It's like this is the third generation. I do not want to be bothered with you people anymore.
Oh my God. But
But
I see a blessing in that because you're still here. But go ahead.
yes, absolutely, and I love it. I'm just clowning because I really love it. Because the babies love me. Now their parents didn't love me when they were little kids, but their babies love me.
There you go.
And
Mm,
so, they bring them in and they're coughing all over the place. And then the next Sunday, the church is empty because everybody because everybody has caught something. And I
mm,
say to these parents, I said, if that baby has what you think is a cold, if they're coughing, don't bring them to church. Do not come to church. Keep them at home. I said because a the COVID in a baby is just as infectious as the COVID in an adult. Y'all
yeah.
stop bringing these babies because they're not going to keep a mask on.
Hmm.
They're just you just can't force them to keep a mask on. So keep them at home.
Right.
Keep them out because we've had to close down service a couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we did as well in my church. Back, when COVID was kind of running rampant,
I'm
when it's
talking
time.
about recent. I'm talking about recent. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm talking about like in the last no more than 3 months.
Oh my. Okay.
Yes, yes. So we don't know, we don't understand that we are yet, and they're watching. I love Europe because they are watching. America is
Blueprint.
yeah, um, we're at risk. We're at risk, and we're acting like there is no risk.
Mm,
But Europe is on it. They're watching, they're testing, they're exchanging information between one another. We've we've um we've taken ourselves out of all of those organizations.
yeah.
So we're not sharing information with anybody, and no one's sharing information with us because we removed ourselves from those entities.
Mm, yeah.
And yeah, yeah.
I can, if I can interject in here, because you
Mhm.
mentioned about the children, we need to acknowledge and understand that they could carry those germs as well, or the, COVID, but, and that they're not going to keep their mask on. So maybe, have them stay at home. But I'm looking, a lot of these adults, Dr. Hill, we're not recognizing. I think you kind of started off with that when you were talking about codes, not recognizing that we are carriers of certain
Yeah.
things. And, because I recall being around an individual who was dealing with this cough, periodically off and on or whatever, or I don't think it had ever let up with them.
Yeah.
But, the setting that I was in, I was trying to make sure I was staying away from them. Because it was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. And then, of course, our mentality, I think everybody's mentality now is like, you hear somebody coughing now, oh, do they have COVID? Let me put my, mask on or whatever. But I think we need to still be cautious, because we could, again, be carriers
Yeah.
of a virus
Yeah.
or what have you. But how can we get this across, though? Because,
See,
it's,
this is the crust. I'm sorry, did I cut you off? I
no, you're
did not.
good.
This is the problem because everybody wants to be grown
Mm.
and nobody wants to be told anything. And nobody wants to consider the next person.
Mm.
Because if you have, it's like I have a goddaughter and her brothers, and their mother passed. She was my very best friend. We had our babies together, Brandy and her oldest daughter. They were god sisters, and they grew up together and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm auntie. I'm auntie. Of course, they don't pay me any attention, but I'm still auntie. And so they have these parties. Oh my God. It started out probably under 100 people. Their parties they're having now are hundreds. When I tell you hundreds, they're at these big venues, these big clubs, they're on these yachts, they're making all kind of money. And then my goddaughter, she's a caterer, and I told her, I said, I'm telling you now, don't get offended because I am not recommending anybody to you and I'm not asking you to do anything. I said, because you're going to kill a lot of your clients.
Mm.
I said, and I don't want any of my friends to be ones. Of course, you didn't pay me any attention. But it's these kind of nobody considers because I said something to one of the boys. I said, these people, you've got all of these people, they're all on top of one another. I said this when we were in the pandemic. I said, these people are all on top of one another. I said, you've got at least 100 people. This was back in that 2019, 2020. I said, you
Okay.
got at least 100 people there. Well, now they've got almost, I want to say, I know they have hundreds. I want
Mm-hmm.
to say hundreds. Um, it chokes in my throat to say 1,000, but I'm going to tell you, it is not far from it. It is
Right.
not far from it. And so they. This is what he told me. He said, "Oh no, we make sure everybody has taken a test, and their test is negative, or else they can't come in." Okay, that might have worked for back in 2019. That's not going to work for now with these 15 variants. And let me say, Wuhan, I'm so thankful for Wuhan, I don't know what to do. Wuhan has just found another coronavirus
Whoa.
that will cross, that can enter into the ACE2 receptor and infect the human being. And that virus is HKU5 COVID 2.
Mm.
Now, of course, we haven't heard anything about it, have we?
No. It's my first time hearing about it.
Wuhan discovered this and began to send out the information in February. This is, what are we, April?
Yes, ma'am.
They sent out that information in February, alerting all of the nations There is a new coronavirus. This is what we need to do in order to protect ourselves. It does it does enter into the ACE2 receptor and infect humans. All you hear from us here in the United States of America is peeps. Nothing. Now, I heard something the other day, and I said, okay, we are starting to cover our behind,
Mm,
because what I heard was the government was saying that another virus escaped from the Wuhan lab.
yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. So then, but mind you, Wuhan has been they have been, and in Europe, they have been collaborating, and they have been doing um what we had started doing under other political, regimes, whatever you want to call it, under other
Mhm.
presidents. Let me just say it like that.
Okay.
We were in collaboration with them to make sure that everybody knew when a new virus showed up, that we all worked together in order to um, do what was necessary to make sure we didn't have another pandemic, right?
Right.
All right, Wuhan's been doing this job. They identified it in the labs. They have some of the best scientists and labs, I would say, in the world. Now, that's my opinion, because they were the ones to discover that if you gave those that had slipped into that respiratory problem, that you ended up on the ventilator and that so many people died, they were the first ones to start using that vitamin C in high doses,
Right.
intravenous vitamin C in high doses, and saved lives. They're those that were infected and that had been slipped into those deep waters, it came down 50%.
Mm,
It came down 50% because they began to use that vitamin C IV drip. And then as they began to work with it, then they added some other nutrients. But that as far as I'm concerned, hey, they need they saved many, many lives, and we should be giving them some kind of award or something,
ugh,
because,
wow.
yeah,
I
because
looked it up. If I can throw this in here, you said HKU5, correct?
HKU5 dash COVID
COVID
2.
2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
it says a new study by Chinese researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The virus can enter human cells using the
Mhm.
same gateway as the highly contagious SAR
Yes.
COVID-2 virus that causes COVID-19.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And that receptor is the ACE2 receptor.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Listen,
Yeah.
guys, let me throw this in here real quick. If you're just now joining us, we are talking to Dr. Shirley Hill, Mofaith Nutritional Services. It is our monthly health and wellness segment here on Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. We've collaborated with her for the past 7, 8 years, and just bringing her in on a monthly basis to discuss anything health and wellness related. Our topic today is the coronavirus 2025. So if you have any questions, comments, we can read them on air. If it's related to today's topic or related to anything else, health and wellness. And this is why we need these sessions, because sometimes things can go over our head. You mentioned about how Wuhan came out with this. I wonder how many people knew about this. Those of you that are watching, if you want to chime in and tell me if you knew anything about this, because I think today was I was today years old when I heard about this. I didn't know. I just didn't know. I think I heard something, but I didn't go really into like even the name of it and what it can, how it can enter in. So this is why we need to talk to Dr. Hill because she's up on it, and I know she's up on it. A lot of times she's on the phone. My husband will call her, she'll call him, and they're discussing things or what have you. But this is what she does. So you are definitely encouraged to ask your questions and comments on today. Is that my brother-in-law? Hey, brother-in-law. Thanks for coming in. He says no, he did not hear of it. He hadn't heard of it. But yeah, this is again why we need to have you on so we could talk more about this. So did this spark that the study about the HKU5, did that spark today's topic
Uh,
title or
no, no, it sparked my going into. I wanted to see what Wuhan was saying.
okay.
I wanted to see what they've got some, I like to use the term bang up, that's an old term. So I hope y'all understand what that means.
I think
The
so.
scientists, their scientists are on point.
Yes.
Their virologists are on point. And they are that European and Asian and all of that, those nations, they are they are vigilant. They are vigilant, they are watchful, and they are always sharing and sending out information.
Mm,
And so, which is just the opposite of what the United States of America is, because we are silent. Now, I said, how interesting the other day when no, the cold thing. Now that's what made me want to do use this topic, because I said, how many of us are walking around with this virus talking about a cold because we went to the emergency room or we went and got a test and the test showed negative. I said, it's a false negative. It's a false negative because you don't have a cold. You
yeah.
have COVID.
Yeah.
And one of these 15 variations,
Hmm.
one of these 7 new strains. And so we are just, something that my mind went back to. So I'm
Hmm.
a little, I'm going to jump around a little bit today. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay.
We're
So
gonna jump with you.
everybody remembers, I hope remembers Ebola. They may not remember it because it was in Africa. Um, and but Ebola, okay, I hope I don't get in trouble with this, and I don't want to get you in trouble. But America is low down. I'm just gonna say that America is low down. One of our universities, and because I didn't look up, I keep papers. I'm a pack rat. I'm one of those people that they call the peoples for to 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 make them clean our orders. Yeah,
You're not a
I
hoarder. Please don't
yeah
say you're a hoarder.
I am an information hoarder, because I understand that if I can find it on the internet in the science area, I download it. I put it in paper form, and I save it. I put it somewhere. So I got a half a garbage bag sitting over here of papers that I've been working on all week to throw out. But I remember when Ebola started, and I said, okay, and to be perfectly honest with you, I really started looking into it because it began in Africa.
Hmm.
And I'm like, my people, my people. So
Yeah, you want to know what happened. Hmm.
yeah. And this is how it began. One of our universities, one of our research universities, was over in Africa, and they were testing the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they were in the laboratory, and it some kind of way got out of the laboratory. I'm not to this day not certain that it was an accident.
Wow.
And it was people were dying, and the chief didn't know why. And some kind of way, uh, it was determined that it was Ebola, and that the university had to have something to do with it, because the virus had escaped, or showed up in the population, when they were testing it in the laboratory. And
Wow.
he shut it down. The chief of that area that they were in, he shut it down. He put them out, but it was too late, because Ebola has spread like wildfire. It has
Mm.
spread like wildfire. So then here they bring in all of these nurses and doctors from America and here, there, and everywhere, who don't know what they're doing and don't know. They just have no information, and they really have no skills,
Oh, wow.
not for dealing with something like this. And let me tell you why I said that. Because Ebola was a hemorrhagic virus, right? So it meant that the way that it killed you is that the cells burst and you bled to death. Well, most people don't know cancer is a hemorrhagic agent. And that is pretty much what cancer does. So then that's why they start looking for cancer. If you come into the hospital and you are bleeding somewhere, and they cannot determine where you're bleeding from, the first thing they look for is cancer, because
Mm-hmm.
cancer is hemorrhagic. And so Ebola was hemorrhagic. And when they took them to the clinic, so it presented itself with a headache, a severe headache. When they took them to the clinic, the first thing that the nurses did was gave them Tylenol.
Oh,
So then, okay, need I say more? Tylenol causes, one of the side effects of Tylenol, just like aspirins, is that it causes the cells to bleed out. It's hemorrhagic, it's a side effect. And so, how do you treat a hemorrhagic uh, viral condition with a drug that causes you to hemorrhage?
mm-hmm.
And so the people were not dying. And so then, what was something else that um, they, another one of the side effects of Tylenol is a rash. It's a rash. And
Okay.
so another, and it is and you all that are, you can look it up on the internet. We all have access to the internet, and we need to know this information.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, after they gave him the Tylenol, then now the next symptom that they have is the rash.
Wow.
The next symptom that they had was the rash. And so now they are just mishandling, misdiagnosing, and these people they are progressing to death. And it's because they are being mishandled, mistreated from a virus that escaped from a American university that was over there. I'm not even sure the chief knew what they were testing and what they were fooling with in the laboratory, or what the consequences were.
That is
And
so
so
deep.
You know how many people died.
Mm,
Now you want to know how they got a handle on this?
mm.
The men in the villages, they finally said, we ain't letting none of these nurses come up in here, not another time. And they would, whenever someone caught it, they would surround that hut or that whatever they lived in. The men would surround it. And when the nurses came, when the doctors came, they told them, you can't come in here because everywhere you go, you bring death.
Ooh.
Uh-huh. They sure did. And that's how they got a handle on that. Now, of course, notwithstanding, we have those, that nurse and whatever, those two nurses that flew back to America
Mm-hmm.
and brought Ebola with them.
Oh.
Yeah. And so our one of our former presidents worked real hard to make sure that there was an agency that was set up strictly for this, that
Mhm.
there was always a vigilance watching for it anywhere in the world, and monies that was set aside to be sent and used just for that purpose, the purpose of an outbreak.
Wow.
And of course, that money has been long dispensed and other things have been,
Mm.
and we no longer have that agency.
Mm-hmm.
But the world, the world agencies, they are vigilant and they are on it, and we are not.
Right. Right.
Yeah, we are not. And like I said in the beginning, our mindset is, you don't tell me what to do. I don't care what you say. And now we've gotten to the point where it's just a cold. We think of it as just a cold.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it has been said that this virus is never going to go away.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, not because it can't go away, but because of our abstinence, because of our lack of cooperation. What's it going to hurt you to wear a mask?
Right.
Yeah.
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 It's not going to hurt, but I think we're humans. We get impatient. And if you say that, or we know that we've been in a situation for so long, I think it wasn't maybe like last year before last, people like, okay, we're starting to come outside now. We're starting to do different things and, the different
Mhm.
functions, even as you mentioned earlier, about it being hundreds of people. And then sometimes you can get close to 1,000 spreader events. I think that's what they
Yeah.
call them. We have to be careful, but of course we don't, it's like we want to go back to normal. I think that's the mentality, but we still have to be conscious. That's why I'm glad to have you on, because we still have to be conscious of what is still happening around us. I shared with you, already, was a few weeks back, a couple of weeks ago, when I came back from an event out of town. On my way back that same day, I started feeling a little cough. It was starting in my throat. And I'm like, what is this? I did what I know to do or whatever. And then, of course, I had to get on the airplane. I was making sure that I had my mask on and all of that. I was doing that for me and for them, you know. Um, but by the time I got home, it turned into a full blown cold. And I mean, my sinuses, everything, it was just like everything was just hit. And I was I was out for about a week.
Mhm.
Um, Many really probably didn't know, but then I have to now think about, okay, where was I at? Who was I around? And unfortunately, I found out that more than myself who were, around this event on that weekend. So more people were ill as well. I don't know to what extent. But then my husband, 2 days later, he got sick and he was down for the count. And so it's like, I'm like, okay, I know that had to be some kind of virus we
Yeah.
caught. It was something. But we had to do what we had to do, get our resale, our vitamin C, we call it Dr. Hill, and doing what we know to do to get better. But I
Listen,
like,
I'm gonna start putting my phone on. What is it? I'm gonna put a message on
I'm
that. If
not
you
even
have
gonna tell you what
COVID,
to do.
don't call me.
I'm not even gonna tell you what to put your phone on. So maybe Brandy's here. Maybe she can tell you, but I ain't gonna tell you because I need you to pick up. No, I'm just kidding. She did say, "Hey, superstars." Yeah, but I get it. I understand, but I think it's a thing of we just want to go back to normal, whatever normal is, or being free. But
But think about it. Normal got us a pandemic.
this is true.
Normal is what got us a pandemic.
This is very true.
Do
This is
we have enough time to talk about what we need to do? And
Oh,
we're,
yep.
you
I'm gonna let
know,
you do that now.
okay. I have no, Dr. Hunt likes to say, these people aren't going to do that. That's why they need a vaccine. My thing is a vaccine only lasts for at best 4 months. It does not give you an immunity. And it it just is. Don't tell me how to oh my gosh. The immune system is the best thing that we have. That the immune system is, God gave it to us for such a time as this. That is the purpose for the immune system. And the immune system, it does its job very effectively when we couple it with those things that give the immune system what it needs to do its job. The problem is not that the immune system doesn't do its job. The problem is we don't give the immune system the materials that it needs to do its job. And
Ooh.
then we give it those things that shut it down and prevent it from doing its job. And then we want to call on God and ask Him, why did He let us get sick and why did He let us die? It is not God, it is our inordinate appetites. Because who is it? I think it's Joel that says, is there iniquity in my tongue? And my answer, you always hear me say it, is, oh yeah, there's iniquity in your tongue. There's iniquity in your tongue. Everything that we love to eat, it reinforces cancer, it reinforces viruses, it feeds bacteria, it degrades and deteriorates the systems that God has placed in the body to keep us healthy and whole. Our bodies there is no force on this planet that is greater than the immune system or better at keeping these bodies well than a well functioning immune system.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah,
That's good stuff. Good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And then, of course, that's connecting making sure that we take care of our immune system by what we
yeah,
consume.
yeah. The number one culprit in everything makes cancer grow like wildfire, makes bacteria more virulent against the good bacteria that's in our own guts, which is why we're chronically constipated and we're going to the hospital emergency room and they're giving us surgery to remove these blockages. And the blockage is nothing but your, okay, let me rein that in. It's nothing but you haven't had a bowel movement for the last 2 weeks.
Woo!
Ah,
That's
and
very
so,
dangerous.
yeah, it's very dangerous. I told you that both young ladies call me. One called me before, one called me after. The doctor was talking about bypass surgery. Well, the one that called me after, it was too late. I couldn't help her because they had given her not heart bypass surgery, so I should say blockage surgery to remove these blockages. And when she came out of surgery and they already sent her home, she had two um why can I think of the names of them? Tubes. She
Stents.
had two. No, not stents. This is so that you can uh, have an evacuation. So what are
Oh,
they?
enemas.
No, that's what you do at home. This is what they give you in the hospital.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
my goodness. Why can I think of the I was on a roll. I had did pretty good, didn't I? Did until he like
Well, it'll come back to you. Lord, bring it back to her.
yeah. Upper and lower bowel or GI tract is
GI.
they put these tubes in, and that's what you have to um, that's how they evacuate the waste matter from your bodies. Well, you had to have them. You didn't have to have them. You were chronically constipated. The blockage was stool, and what you needed to do was to do what was necessary. About 7 days, you could have got rid of that blockage. So the second young lady, she went home. She stayed in the hospital. I told her stay there for 7 days. I called someone and said bring her a juice from the health food store, which was right down the street. I said, and drink that juice every day for 7 days. Tell the doctor, fine, you can have the blockage removal after the 7 days. Well, after the 7 days, there was no blockage to remove.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And so, so, okay, let's get back on track.
I mean, this still
Okay.
all goes in hand,
Yeah.
because you're trying to tell us what we need to do.
Yes, I am. And, I always talk about that sugar.
Yes.
And every day almost they're finding something that, and I don't believe they're finding it. I believe they knew it all along, but it's too many drugs and too much medication and too much surgery involved for them to really tell us. Because think about how long they've been talking about Alzheimer's,
Right.
and now they want to say that Alzheimer's, that they believe that Alzheimer's is caused by sugar.
Oh, did I hear
Yeah.
that? Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah. Oh yeah. They're saying that because you know that they said that what were they saying? That Alzheimer's was the third uh sugar diabetes. Okay, so you got sugar diabetes 1, which is what you're born with, sugar diabetes 2, which used to be called adult onset diabetes, and now we have diabetes 3, which is called Alzheimer's.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay. Okay.
And so the connection with all three is sugar.
Wow.
The connection between all three. And so then sugar, it sugar it man, where can I go with this? Okay, so let me just go straight to COVID because I wanted to add a couple of things. I'll come back and add them in. Sugar, it vitamin C, not these pills that we get at the store. These pills that have binders in them that go straight through you that end up in the toilet. That is not the vitamin C. It is not the ascorbic acid. It is not the citric acid. Vitamin C is a complex, just like vitamin B. And so then, in order for it to work and do the job, it needs all of its cofactors. Now,
Hmm.
that vitamin C, it surrounds the cell and it acts like a shield. It protects it. And one day we'll just do something on what all vitamin C does. And like vitamin C is bad. I mean, vitamin C. Well, maybe should I change that?
Yeah, yeah.
Vitamin C is bang up. Vitamin C is it's not a wonder drug. It's a God drug.
Mm,
It is a God. It is a God. God, for such a time as this, He's given us everything that pertains to life, and vitamin C is one of those things. Which
right.
is why we don't make it anymore, because the enemy had to remove that vitamin C with a knife and fork with our tongues from the body, so that the body cannot do for itself what the vitamin C does. So
Mm,
anyway, vitamin C, that ACE2 receptor, that COVID, whichever one of the COVIDs it is, whether it's Corona or whether it's HKU5, it doesn't matter. That ACE2 receptor is shielded by that vitamin C complex. It
mm,
is shielded by that vitamin C. Now, and it prevents that COVID, it prevents the cancer cell, it prevents all of these entities that don't have your DNA, it prevents them from being able to enter the cell and hijack your DNA and turn your DNA into a virus making factory, bacteria making factory. Vitamin C shields that cell. And then, if by chance they get in and they do hijack it, the DNA, and remove those bases, vitamin C goes in there and snatches it out and returns that DNA back to its original functioning state.
ooh,
Mm.
like a
So,
bimbo.
yeah. Now, what does that have to do with sugar? Sugar goes around the cell and cuts a cleavage in the back of the cell, which is allows the virus to be another entryway to get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So every spoon of sugar we take, uh, we are we are making ourselves prime for the coronavirus that we think is a cold.
Yeah.
And the difficulty with that is that it's not just a cold. You don't just get over it in 7 days. You don't do it. This virus shortens the telomeres. It shortens the telomeres. The longer the telomeres, the longer and the better you live. The
Mm-hmm.
shorter the telomeres, the faster you die. It shortens, COVID shortens your lifespan.
Ooh.
And the original COVID-19 shortened your lifespan by 5 years. These 15 generations that have come behind it, each one is more virulent. Each one has more abilities to evade the vaccine immunity.
Mm.
And you can look this up yourself. And so then, um, every time you get it, oh, it's just a little cold. It'll be over in 5 to 7 days. No, it will not.
Wow.
How much did it shorten your telomeres? Or how many years did it erase from the lifespan that God had given you?
Mm.
And so, sugar is the number one enemy
Yeah.
that we have. And then we have um, meat. And I know people hate to hear that one.
Yeah, that's true. Let me let me
Yeah.
let me throw in, if I can throw this in here real quick. You remember I was talking about what I dealt with, I must have had some kind of virus or something. Now, I believe something could have been going around there, but I did have sugar. I had I yeah, I mean, some food that had sugar in it. So I
Yeah.
know that that contributed to it as well. So as you were talking, I'm like trying to think back. But yeah, I did.
Hmm. Hmm. And you know what? And you can think. I know if I go to an event and I drink something or I eat something that has some sugar in it, I say, okay, you might look for it. That's what I tell myself. I say, look for it. On the way home, I'm getting that sore throat. On the way home, my nose is starting to run. And when I hit that door, I'm pulling out that vitamin C, and I'm making me, choosing the foods that have the enzymes in them that will fight and destroy this enemy, that will boost my immune system. I
Yeah.
start doing everything that I need to know. But the first thing that I should have done was not eating that sugar.
Right. But it was so good though. Real quick.
I'm not even going to agree with you.
Brandy said, I'm just being real. Brandy says here, that's how we get long haul COVID.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
When
Oh
you were,
yeah.
yeah, I
Mhm.
would agree with that. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this, and I know we're going to be wrapping up. I want to ask you this because as you were continuing to talk, about the COVID and really like the long haul COVID and costs and everything, I can't help but to wonder, Dr. Hill, and I think we've talked about this a little bit before, how now we see more and more individuals who are dying, um, unexplained deaths of some of them, a lot of
Yes.
young people,
Yes.
people that we thought were in shape or what have you. It seems like it's like all of a sudden they just dropping like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, that I can't help but to wonder, could it be attributed to either a vaccine or, that they had before, long haul,
Mhm.
COVID vaccine or whatever, or, or what? You did something,
Well, you know what? Yes, it could. Yes, it could. Because
Mhm.
remember, we're talking about something that shortens your lifespan.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we're talking about another thing that we don't understand is that we are told by these companies that that they don't have that they don't put the agent, the entity, that they no longer put it in the vaccines. Now, years ago they did. But what we don't know is what they do put in there is like formaldehyde. It's an embalming fluid.
Yeah.
So embalming fluid is in the vaccine, nanoparticles are in the vaccine, and then no, they do not put the entity into the vaccine, but they put the particles into it, and they put the particles into it because the the virus, and I'm trying to see how I can explain it. Legos. All
Mm,
right, Legos. We know how you assemble things with Legos, right?
right.
That's how the particles assemble themselves on the inside of the body. And
Mm,
that now this is my theory, and I'm gonna dig into it until I find out the truth or find out something else. But I know this: if you put something in my body, particles of something that reassembles itself once it gets in my body, and it is an infectious agent, then at some point, whenever they finish reassembling themselves, then they are going to reinfect me.
ooh,
Yeah,
ooh, that's
yeah,
deep.
yeah,
Scary, but deep.
yeah. Yeah. And then it may be 3 years later. It could be 4 years later. It could be 2 years later. But once that assemblage takes place, then it now has the ability to reinfect. And so
Ooh,
we're talking about those that are just falling dead. People are just walking down the street, they're falling dead. Nobody knows why. They were very healthy. How did this happen? Well, when we think about it, Um, did they change their diet? They're going to the gym. They're going to the gym. They're drinking protein drinks. They're taking all of these nutrients and all of these vitamins. Well, the nutrients and vitamins, they're only the cofactors. They are not the enzymes. So, like, let's say a tomato, even a hybrid tomato, those perfectly round, perfectly red tomatoes that we love.
Mm-hmm.
Even those tomatoes have more than 500 different cofactors, nutritional cofactors in them. And that is not even, it's not even something that we should be particularly eating. That's why it's called the nightshade, and why we have so many difficulties with it.
Right.
And so think about it, that in comparison to a wild tomato, an heirloom tomato, how many nutrients are in that tomato, and how you think you're going to get that out of a peel?
Oh, oh, yeah. Natural is the way to go.
Is the way to go. Real food that
Real
comes
food.
out of the ground, that comes out of the ground. So now we're becoming a hydroponic nation,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the easiest way to go. But
Right.
the soil has bugs in it, little bugs in it. I'm gonna do a live with this young lady. I'm not gonna
Okay.
call her name, but she texted me. She sent me this report and talking about the bugs that are in the soil, that protect, that remove lead, remove all of these toxins and poisons from the soil.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows about that? Who knew about that? Maybe sustainable farmers and organic farmers, but we don't know anything about that. We're buying we're buying stuff that's grown on grown in conventional soil by conventional growers that have all of this lead, all of these other toxins and poisons in the soil, and then we're taking them in our bodies,
Mm-hmm.
and and they're setting up all of these diseases and whatnot.
Right. Right. Definitely. Oh my goodness, this is deep. Listen, guys, if you're just not joining us, we're about to end. So you're going to have to go and rewind to the beginning so that Dr. Hill can minister to you about coronavirus 2025. It's a lot of information that we really need to take in and apply because it has not gone anywhere. There are different variants. There's, that and strains, that are out, and some of us have taken, we maybe taken ill, but we've gone and taken a test and it says, oh no, you don't have COVID. Well, it doesn't relate. It doesn't, that's a false positive. Is that,
Yes, a false
it's giving you
positive.
false
Yeah.
information
Or
because
no, wait a minute. It's a false negative.
false
It's a
negative.
false negative. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Because it's saying that you don't have it, which you have something, but that test is only for
Yeah.
COVID-19 or whatever it was.
Mhm.
And so we have to
And
be careful.
can
Go
I
ahead.
introduce this?
Sure.
Take 1 minute, and we have to realize that one of the spikes that's in these COVID virus is a cold virus. It presents itself as a cold. So just because you have cold symptoms, that does not mean you don't have the virus. It means that it's what's showing up is the cold um, presentation.
Right. Right. And cold, COLD, guys, not CODE. She's talking about a cold. So, yeah, yeah, we just take all this in because we want to be healthy. We need healthy bodies to serve God. As we're ending, Dr. Hill, I remember you saying around the time when they were really pushing the vaccines that some individuals had to take them, maybe because of their job or what have you. But you mentioned, and this is something that kind of stuck with me, you can do what you can to reset your body from that vaccine. Can you talk about that real quick before we end?
Thank you so much for mentioning that. Fasting. Fasting will reset your immune system, but it has to be a water fast, and you have to fast at least 3 days. Um, Intermittent fastings do not activate, they don't activate the process that will reset your immune system. And so, in order to activate that immune system, in order to build new white blood cells and B cells and all of that macrophage and all of that for the immune system, you've got to fast that 3 days, and it needs to be on a 3 day water fast. And you need to throw your microwave out. The microwaves, cooking or heating in microwaves, because they destroy the white blood cells, which are the workers of the immune system. And so every time you pop something in there, even just to heat it, you are destroying the white blood cells of the immune system. So you need to fast. Fast for 3 days. Water fast. And then 3 days before the water fast, make sure you fill your body with raw fruits and vegetables that contain the enzymes that are needed, that the body needs to produce the protection and that resetting that your body needs.
Thank you. And thank you for saying that, because your bodies do need to be prepared before you start fasting. Because I know some people probably, okay, well, let me hurry up and do it. And then you're getting sick and headaches and all that, but you have to prepare your body. So as she stated, prepare it with fruits and vegetables,
Raw.
raw fruits and vegetables. You have to be specific, prior to you going on a water fast, which will help to reset your body and any thing you got going on there. That should help you. But you got to stick with it.
Yes.
Dr. Hill, I appreciate you. I thank you so much. And it seems like I learn so much every time you come on, myself, as the host. But we appreciate you and all the knowledge that God has given you to help us, his people, God's people. You're trying to help us. So again, guys, if you want to get in contact with Dr. Hill, you can do so directly. Her website is MoPhaeth, MoPhethns.com. MoPhaeth Nutritional Services, Dr. Shirley Hill, and she can definitely help you. You can purchase her resale products, which are a godsend. You can schedule consultations, and she has other blogs on there with different recipes that will help you, even with the rainbow salad. Rainbow salad, guys, rainbow salad. And what were you laughing at me, Dr. Hill?
No, I was thinking, oh my, I forgot the rainbow salad. I forgot that. Yeah, that's how you get those 14 raw fruits and vegetables that you need every day. 2 rainbow salads, a smoothie, you're good to go.
All right. You guys heard it right here on Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. You came in to get caught in the net with Dr. Shirley Hill, MoPhaeth Nutritional Services. And I'm so glad that you guys joined us. Thanks for your comments, your questions. Well, you didn't really have questions today, but thanks for your comments on today. And joining in and listening. You can always go back and listen to it in its entirety. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I'm here live on TikTok. We're going to end that soon in a minute. But I thank you guys for joining me. I'll be back on next week with a different guest, end of the month. Can you believe that we are pretty much at the end of April? But I'm grateful to God for blessing us to be here. So I have a new guest on next week that'll be joining us, Jacqueline Williams. She is the author of Overcomer. And you want to hear about this young lady's story. I'm going to start posting the promotional video, but in the meantime, you can take a look at it right now, and we'll see you next time so that you can get caught in a net. On the next session of Get Caught in a Net.
Get caught in a net with